It is the last Sunday of the year 2025, December 28th, 2025. And I had to kind of, hey, look, man, we had to finish off the year on a good note with the live. I'll be pre recording this live. Your boy will be on the highway driving during the time that this comes out. I'll most likely be in a chat as best as possible, kind of communicating what you guys thinking about, seeing what you guys think about the different kind of shows or news events that we have regarding intellectual property. But again, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, this will come out. This is the last Sunday of the year, December 28th, 2025. Got to start on end on a good note or finish on a good note, rolling into the new year, 2026. We have some big things planned for you guys. I may have a name change, slight change of the name from the show from Everything Intellectual Property. I'm trying to think, do I want to say business and IP or entrepreneurship and IP? I want to kind of incorporate some more business stuff onto the channel. So that's something that I'm kind of thinking about with the name change. I am adding some additional segments on IP that I think is going to be really cool as I'm finalizing those plans. And then, man, just things in my personal life just to kind of go through more towards the business stuff, the entrepreneur stuff that I'm kind of spearheading with that. So I can't wait to talk more about those as the new year approaches and things are starting to get finalized on that stuff. So, man, shouts out to everybody who kind of made it this year. Hopefully, some of the goals that you set out at the beginning, you was able to accomplish, if not all, most of those goals. And hopefully, the goals that you have going into 2026 are bigger and better than what you had in 2025. Man, I had some huge goals this year, not only financially, spiritually, trying to work out, continuously working out consistently. And man, yeah, so hopefully you guys are making some big goals going into 2026. Now, man, we got a lot to cover today. We have Rubler. It was the interview of the week, which was actually a live interview that I did here in the Detroit metro area. So this is going to be good. We're going to play a clip, kind of get you guys my thoughts. And then, man, please go check out that full interview. That one actually did some pretty decent numbers. Mariah Carey, I know Christmas, and I hope all you guys had a nice Christmas. Mariah Carey just, hey, got a nice chunk of change on Christmas based on her All I Want for Christmas song and the IP remnants of that. So we'll kind of talk a little bit about that. Hey, Detroit, man, look at all the Detroit teams for the most part did good this year. Detroit Tigers, they made the playoffs, even though they didn't make it to the World Series. They kind of made, I think they won a playoff series. You had the Pistons, which are number one in the Eastern Conference up until this point in time. The Red Wings, I think, are number one in their conference in hockey. And the cream jewel of it all was supposed to be the Detroit Lions. And you talking about a letdown of a season, not even to make the playoffs after having the best record. Damn near, I think in the NFL last year, again, the first week about to not make the playoffs. That was a letdown to say the least, but things are hitting them off the field. It looks like they just got sued for trademark infringement based on their New Jersey. So we'll talk about that. And then you have the space station, Russia. Vladimir Putin out there in Russia. They just filed or got a patent on artificial gravity space station. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And then we will end with the lawsuit of the week with Yeti. We all know Yeti for making coolers, bottles, things of that sort. It seems like they came out with a new shaker that they're suing somebody for. This is an interesting one because typically up until this point in time, we'll do these lawsuits. You will have somebody sue somebody for trademark infringement or copyright infringement or maybe patent infringement. In this case, Yeti is suing a bad actor for not only trademark infringement, but trade dress infringement, which is a subset of trademark infringement, but they are also suing them for patent infringement in the same lawsuit. So you get a 2-for-1. So we'll see kind of what this lawsuit is all about, and I'd love to hear from you guys. I got some interesting thoughts on that one. And Uncle Remus. So it was somebody sent this to me. This was an interesting one. So you had a Chicago chicken company that it seems like they've been around for 60 plus years. You had another chicken spot in Chicago that kind of started popping up with some chicken restaurants that was very similar in name. Seems like Uncle Remus, one of the I should say the owners of Uncle Remus took it to social media, Facebook specifically, and had a nice little message. And it seems like the defendant or the bad actor responded. So we'll see what their response was and see what we can glean from that. So, man, we had a lot to talk about. I'm not going to hold you guys up. So we're going to get going with this thing. We're going to start with Rubler. Now, Rubler is a social media app. And shout out to Ramad Stringfield. He's in the Detroit metro as well, man. And I love everybody who's trying to get off into the entrepreneurship game, whether it's with a product, and your boy coming up with some physical products this next year, which I'm excited about. But whether it's with these social media apps, just because you see the Facebooks and the Instagrams and TikTok, hey, man, And when I say we, I'm talking about from an African American standpoint now, because it's cool to see kind of black people get into the game with some of these things and trying to essentially strike gold here. So Rubler is one that I was able to do an interview on, and we're going to play a snippet here in a little bit. You see the picture to the left. That's the owner or the founder of Rubler. So we'll see what he has to say when I sat down with him. I think Fanbase, Isaac Hayes III, he has Fanbase, another social media tool, social media app. So man, I just kind of shouts out to everybody who starting businesses, trying to break through the big dog, especially like I said, when you're talking about the Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, or X, formerly known as Twitter, TikTok, man. Shouts out to the big dog. Shout out to people who are trying to break through. I do want to say, hit that like button for the YouTube algorithm, as well as hit that subscribe button to be a part of the IP community. Like I said, we have some big things planned going into the new year. Most likely a name change of the channel. We're going to be doing more business content, business-related, entrepreneurship-related content. I am going to be a lot more heavy on my Patreon with the products that I'm coming out with and take you guys behind the scenes. So it's going to be a lot for the channel going into the new year. So please hit that like button for the YouTube algorithm. Hit that subscribe button. And soon I'm going to be starting kind of talking a lot more about the Patreon. So in the meantime, in between time, let's pull up this interview with Ramade. Like I said, we was able to sit down. Maybe I want to say a couple weeks ago, and the interview had just recently came out. So go check out that interview. But let's see what he has to say about his platform and kind of, really his journey. Let's go.
Or new coat or jacket or something like that. If you're able to see that score from the Ruby React, you see that this post had 1 million points. Of that 1 million points, 900,000 were reactions of love of 5. You could double down on that business model versus if you put some other design out there and you see it's rated and reacted to unfavorably. Maybe of the 1 million points, 995,000 are all reaction of 1s of like, these people really, they're not really jiving with it. They really don't like this. You could pivot directly right there versus spending millions and millions of dollars in, market research, not really knowing the emotional sentiment behind what your audience thinks. So that state of mind, as well as having that intensity chart as a differentiator, is kind of what inspired all of that together.
So shouts out to Ramade, and pretty much I do want to kind of break down a little bit what he was talking about. So and everything, all these social media apps is something that kind of differentiates them. Obviously, IG is pretty much pictures. You got Twitter, which you got a certain word count, and is even though they incorporate pictures and videos, you kind of get your thoughts off unapologetic on Twitter. Or on X, I should say. Facebook, it seems like more of an older platform, old school platform. You see a lot more older crowd in there. And again, that kind of does both. You can make a nice long post, but you can also post videos and pictures and stuff like that as well. But it's kind of more so like for an older crowd, kind of messaging back and forth with each other in the chat. And then you have obviously TikTok, which is more so short form content, short form videos, things of that sort. But the Rubler, which he was talking about the rate and react, as I kind of, let me see if I can bring it back on myself. He's talking about the rate and react. Pretty much, you can, across the board, you can like a post or a video or a picture, whatever the case may be. But what Rubler's rate and react, what differentiates Rubler from other platforms is you can react to something. So say you hit a smiley emoji or a heart emoji, but then you can kind of say how much you like it. Do you really like it? To the extent that you give it a 10 or 8 maybe out of 10. Or do you just kind of like it where you rate it a 1 or 2? So that's what he's talking about with the rate and react. You're not just reacting to it, you're rating your reaction. And that's kind of what's differentiating Rubler from these other social media platforms. It's on the App Store. Go check it out. I've downloaded myself. Ramad, he's heavy on it. I think he has like 10 or 20,000 active users. So he's growing the platform, man, and kind of coming out. I think they just recently did Rubler 2.0 with some different updates to it. So definitely go check out that Rubler. The rate and react feature, that's kind of what differentiates Rubler from these other social media platforms. And man, shout out to not only just kind of inventors who are trying to kind of break through these bigger companies or these fields that's dominated by the big dogs, but anytime you're kind of African American or you're black doing this, man, it's even more power to you, because I understand that sometimes it's a little bit more challenging from a hurdle perspective. So shouts out to that, Ramad with Rubler. And go check out that full interview, man. He dropped a lot of jewels in there. So definitely go check out that video as we move on to the next subject for the day. All I want for Christmas is you. Let me kind of pull it up here really quickly. So, man, Christmas Day, I'm listening to all the music on Christmas. And the cool thing about this is, these days I got Tidal. That's kind of what I do most of my Christmas. Listen to most of my Christmas music on. And on Tidal, they give you the different genres. Do you want like just regular Christmas movie? Do you want the soul Christmas movie? Your boy Black. So I mean, I try to do the soul Christmas music. So all the Mariah Carey, Ariana Grande, she got a man. I ain't know she can sing. Saw her. She had a Christmas song. I forget what it's called, but man, when I saw that, heard that for the first time last year, I'm like, man, this little girl can sing. So Ariana Grande, obviously the Temptations, Jackson 5, all the old school Motown peoples, as well as the kind of the 90s R&B, Casey and JoJo, so forth and so on. But All I Want for Christmas, man, that's one of the biggest as it gets. I think, they said Mariah Carey makes millions of dollars on All I Want for Christmas every year. And I actually did a video maybe a year or so ago where somebody was suing her for copyright infringement. Again, music is a copyright. And they were trying to say that she kind of stole this from them or infringed their copyright on kind of their song, All I Want for Christmas, back in the day. And it seems like the court not only dismissed their lawsuit, but they ruled in favor of Mariah Carey for sanctions. So this is the title of the article. And I did more of a kind of full-length breakdown. This is kind of more so a quick hit, but it says Mariah Carey, All I Want for Christmas is for you to pay me sanctions. So essentially, and this is, I think, from TMZ, if I'm not mistaken, this article. Yeah, TMZ staff. But essentially, as I kind of put it back on myself, the judge, I guess they said that the lawsuit that was initially filed by the plaintiff against Mariah Carey for copyright infringement was a baseless lawsuit. So they hit I think the attorneys, if I'm not mistaken, the article said that they have to pay Mariah Carey $92,000 for a baseless lawsuit. So, and again, this is something that everybody has to understand. You can file lawsuits left and right, but to the extent that the judge, and it's more so discretionary or subjective, if the judge determines that the lawsuit was a baseless lawsuit, where, hey, look, man, it was nowhere in heck that you were going to win this lawsuit or you can win this lawsuit. You just filed it anyway, just trying to get a good payday. A lot of times people settle just to try to avoid all the money that they have to spend going to trial and stuff like that. If the judge determines that that was the case and it was a baseless lawsuit, they can order sanctions and something like that on you. And it seems like in this case, the judge slapped the attorneys on the hand and say, hey, man, you knew that this was a baseless lawsuit. You filed it anyway. So for you doing that, you have to pay. We're going to order sanctions. You have to pay, I think, Mariah Carey $92,000. So, yeah, man, let this be a lesson for all the lawyers out there. Not only the lawyers, but people who are trying to file baseless lawsuits. And like I said, obviously, we all know All I Want for Christmas, sung by Mariah Carey, is a hit around the holidays. So to try to get some of that money that she's getting from that, or try to say that, hey, this was copyright infringement, when, at least according to the judge, it was determined that this was not only was it not copyright infringement, that's why the judge dismissed the lawsuit, but the lawsuit all in all was a baseless lawsuit. So, yeah, man, let this be a lesson. I'm trying to give you guys game or information when I'm doing these lives. Again, I try to make them entertaining, but it's not just for pure entertainment. They're trying to be educational. And yeah, you can file a lawsuit. What they say, man, anybody can file a lawsuit. But to the extent that the judge determines that it was a baseless lawsuit, your attorney, maybe even you, can face sanctions. In this case, 92. Mic keeps going muted. I don't know why my mic keeps going muted. That's kind of making me mad. But in any event, let's move on here to the Motor City Muscle. Now, this is an interesting one. Like I said before, Detroit Lions has had a rough go-ahead this year. Just kind of give you guys a little bit of the facts of this case. And like I said, I did a kind of full breakdown, I think like a 10-minute breakdown. So definitely go check that out if you want to. But as I pulled an article up, Detroit Lions copy Motor City Muscle trademark and appearance. Now, you have an events planning company, which I think is called US LLC or US Events LLC, which is actually in Detroit metro area, I think in Plymouth, Michigan. They got a trademark on Detroit, or not Detroit, but Motor City Muscle. And it's an events company. So, like I said, when you file for a trademark, you have to let the USPTO know how you're using a trademark. You can't file a trademark and get it protected in everything under the sun. And it seems like in this case, the events company got it protected in the events planning category. So anytime you're using or throwing an event, a party, whatever the case may be, and you're using Motor City Muscle to kind of promote it, whatever the case may be, then you will be infringing their trademark. And I'm not sure if you guys noticed, to the extent that you're a Detroit fan, I'm in Detroit, the great state of Michigan, Detroit metro area. When Detroit Lions, they recently last year unveiled their black jerseys. And it seems like it was for season ticket holders to come and experience that kind of event. And they, for whatever reason, they deemed the jerseys, they called them Motor City Muscle. I just think that's I've never heard of, and I guess I shouldn't say this. Typically, I don't know. I just feel like somebody within the Detroit Lions organization and the U.S. events, they kind of had a back and forth, because I thought that was interesting for the Detroit Lions to call this version of the jersey, their black jerseys that they unveiled. What you see in the black Aiden Hutchinson, what you see in a picture to the left, that's the jerseys that they unveiled or before the season started. They wore them a couple times this year, but they called them Motor City Muscle. You see the Motor City Muscle. That's more so the design or the trade dress, I think they call it. But they also have a trademark U.S. events on the term or the phrase Motor City Muscle, in addition to trade dress protection on that kind of M with the black and blue stripes. And it seems like I said, Detroit Lions, I'm not sure why they called these jerseys Motor City Muscle. And again, you may be saying, well, this is a jersey. This is not an event, or whatever the case may be. And I would agree with you. But it's a football game. You almost can say a football game, or make the argument at least. One of the things that they teach us in law school is you got to be able to argue both sides. And if I was representing US Events LLC, I would say, hey, a football game is an event. Not only did they unveil it at an event last year, but football games are largely an event. So to be calling these things Motor City Muscle, and it seems like the U.S. Events Company, they potentially lost some deals, some sponsorships. They sued Detroit Lions, and I was very surprised that Detroit Lions called these jerseys Motor City Muscle when they know it was another company out there. Maybe they thought, hey, this is clothing. We're not in a events category. This is a clothing with the jerseys. And maybe that's true, but when you're talking about, throwing events, unveiling them, as well as when you're talking about football games, which can be looked at as an event, you're calling them Motor City Muscle jerseys. I think that the U.S. Events Company has an argument, in my opinion. Whether there's a winning argument, I'm not sure, but I think the Detroit Lions could have avoided this altogether. But like I said, it seems like it's been a tough 2025 for the Lions. Motor City Muscle. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Let's see here. What else do I want to talk about this one? Yeah, that's pretty much it, man. Just kind of be careful with this stuff. I know, obviously, and Detroit Lions, they clearly have the money to go talk to an attorney about this. I'd be interested to see what they IP attorney said on whether or not they can use Motor City Muscle to market these jerseys, given the Motor City Muscle trademark for events. Like I said, it seems like somebody within the Lions organization and somebody within the U.S. Events LLC don't like each other, because this is crazy to and it's a more, again, we Motor City, got the muscle with the cars, motor with the cars, Motor City Muscle. I get the name, but it still seems like it's a very niche or narrow name to call it a jersey. You can almost call them anything else. You use a name that's already trademarked to call the jerseys. I don't know. Yeah, it seems like it's that's surprising from my opinion with the Detroit Lions, but I guess it is what it is. Let's move on to the next section. This is Uncle Remus. So Uncle Remus, and I learn about different kind of local restaurants all the time. It seems like this is kind of out of Chicago. This apparently from the people who've commented under the video. This is, they have some pretty good chicken. So Uncle Remus, REMUS, they've been around for like 60 plus years. I'll pull up one of the owners who talked about how the restaurant has been in the family for 60 plus years, and how Uncle Remy, like Remy Ma or REMY, is another fried chicken place. Matter of fact, this picture to the left is the actual name of the fried chicken place, Uncle Remy. I'll explain to you why the sign has changed, but it seems like Uncle Remy popped up with some fried chicken restaurants recently in Chicago. They got back to Uncle Remus, and one of the owners of Uncle Remus, she essentially came to Facebook with how she responded, and Uncle Remy, the owners, they actually responded as well. So we will kind of mine our way through this one. Let me kind of get to it here really quickly. I was on Facebook. Is this the one? Okay, here we go. Yeah, this is it. And hit that like button for the YouTube algorithm. Well, let's hit that subscribe button. Be a part of the IP community. I don't know why they just started that, boy.
I have definitely been inundated with calls, texts, inboxes regarding the Uncle Remy's Saucy Fried Chicken that I believe is in Lansing as well as on 75th. I first want to say I appreciate all.
Hey, man, when you say in Lansing, I'm in Michigan, and obviously went to Michigan State. You see the jersey in the background. Michigan State is in East Lansing. I have some property in Lansing. So when I heard that initially, I'm like, oh, they got a fried chicken place in Lansing. But I think it's a street called, or maybe a street called, or maybe even a city called Lansing as well in Chicago. I don't know about Uncle Remy in Lansing, Michigan. So to the extent that you're in Detroit or Chicago, let me know, do Uncle Remy got a food spot in Lansing, Michigan, or is it in Lansing Street or Lansing, Illinois? Let me know that.
Of the concern from my many loyal friends and customers, actually, have also reached out with somewhat of an confusion and outrage as to the blatant infringement upon the name and likeness of a brand that my family has had well over 65 years and has been entrenched in the community and really a legacy of our community. And for others to come in our community and think that it is okay to infringe upon a brand that has been built brick by brick, blood, sweat, and tears.
Now, I do want to stop it here really quickly. And that's the whole point, the importance of getting this IP protected, particularly trademarks, because, again, what they say, most businesses fail within a few years. And if you kind of make it past 7 years, you got something going on. To make it 65 years in a community, continue to expand locations, that means you done kind of been through some stuff. You done made it through 2008, the COVID, some other tough, challenging economic times. And you have people know you in the community. They know the location. They know the product, good or bad. And for somebody else to try to kind of trade off your goodwill to say Uncle Remy, Remus, R-E-M-U-S, Remy, R-E-M-Y. It may not seem like a big deal, but I think it's definitely, and then the fact that it's chicken spots, you're trying to play off the goodwill of Uncle Remus in this case, in my opinion. And that's the whole point of getting a trademark, protecting your brand, whether you are kind of locally within that in that city or that town or that state. Man, people from out of town come in all the time. What they say, hey, what's the first place I need to go eat at? What's the first place I need to go shop at? What's the first place I need to go look and see? And if you got something good going on, you want to have your stuff protected so that people out of staters as well as in-towners can come to your spot and it can be protected. Other people can't try to build off or trade off your goodwill. So this is the whole importance of getting the trademark, so that when you make it 60 plus years, 65 plus years in business and kind of continue to grow and have new locations, somebody just can't come around and within a year or so, they've kind of got up to your point because they traded off your goodwill and customers thinking that, okay, you're affiliated with Uncle Remus, coming to your place and buying your food. So that's kind of the whole point of it. I did want to kind of talk about that as we get back to it and finish up with this woman has to say. Let's go.
Is quite bold, and I wanted everyone to know that we are not taking this sitting down. We own the trademark federally and state for Uncle Remus Saucy Fried Chicken. And if anyone knows anything about how federal trademarks or state trademarks work, you cannot even copy the likeness to cause any confusion. So I, under the advisement of my attorney, have notified them and in person and asked them to remove the likeness and the name immediately. And if they don't comply, which I hope they do, we will definitely be taking further legal action. And if you know them and in our community and you service or go to them, let them know that it is not appreciated, because we cannot continually allow others to come and kill, steal, and destroy something that we have all built. And I'm not just talking about my brand. I'm talking about anyone else who has a brand that has built it. It is not.
So I think that was pretty much kind of sums it up. And actually, like what her attorney said, so I'm going to kind of play here Uncle Remy's response to it. But I like what her attorney did, man. As opposed to trying to send them cease and desist letters and flaming the situation, hey, just go talk to them. See if y'all can get on the same page. Let them know, hey, you're infringing on mark. We don't want to take this to court. However, if you don't change the name, then we will take it to court. And seems like she did that. So that was good advice by her counsel to tell her to do that. She did that. And let's see what Uncle Remus, the owners, had to say about this. See what their response is. I want y'all to guess what their response is. Press pause and guess what their response is, what you think their response is going to be. So it's going to be an interesting one, that's for sure. And sorry for the language on this video. Sorry for the language on this video, but let's go.
Look like they got the ammo. They taking that shit down immediately.
So that's what they did. What you see the picture on the left hand, the corner of the left hand of the screen, they took it down. So it says Uncle, they as opposed to Remy, they blacked that out. So it just says Uncle Fried Chicken. I'm not sure if they're gonna put something else after Uncle or they just gonna call it Uncle Fried Chicken, but at least they kind of took it down. So it seems like the message was received. They did not want to smoke with Uncle Remus. I think it was going to be, money wasted if they did try to take it to court to play hardball. But I think this kind of worked out perfectly for both sides, man. I know a lot of times you hear, as we're going through these lawsuits, you hear, the defendant, they just ignoring a cease and desist letter or trying to play hardball, even though when they're in the wrong. I like when kind of people try to kind of resolve this thing amicably. I think we saw that with the taco spot in Chicago. I mean, in LA, where it was I forget the name of the taco spot, but it was had a registered trademark. The locations in Chicago, and the food truck who opened up in LA, they opened up, got a cease and desist letter, hired counsel. The counsel like, man, y'all probably should just take this down, and they changed the name. So I like when these things are resolved amicably. Don't spend money on the attorneys as much as I would like, or the attorneys like to spend money on them. When it's a lose proposition, you probably want to kind of get out in front of it. Really, what I really want for you, as opposed to just even kind of taking it down and everybody kind of going about their business, is doing a search beforehand to see, okay, am I going to get sued for it? Go talk to an attorney. Go spend $300, $400, talk to an attorney about this, as opposed to having to hire an attorney on the back end or kind of spend a ton of money on attorney fees, as well as rebranding. Because again, I would imagine that to put a sign up there, 2 signs, that was thousands of dollars easy. To get the signs made, to put them up there, they spent a couple grand on that signage. And I think they had a couple locations. So to do all that and to have to go back and cover up stuff, now look kind of tacky and all that, that's going to take another thousands of dollars, not to mention what you spent on the attorney. So to be able to avoid all that, man, just go to an attorney on the front end, or I got something covered out that's going to help out people as well. But just try to do the homework and the due diligence on the front end to avoid these situations where you're infringing somebody else's trademark or other IP for that matter. That's kind of my take on it. Hopefully you guys agree with me. Let me know what you guys think in the comments as we move on to the next segment. And this is the one right before the lawsuit breakdown of the week. This is your boy, Vladimir Putin. Seems like Russia has got a patent on an anti-artificial gravity space station. Let me kind of read the title. I'm not going to break this down in detail. This video actually is doing numbers, so go check out the video. It's like 10, 11 minutes long, but Russia patents a space station designed to generate artificial gravity. So I'm not no space whiz by any means. However, it appears that, obviously when you go to space, you need the suits. You're floating around in space, and really some of the downfalls of that is when you're in space a long time, which I think Elon Musk, they had just wanted to go get somebody from space. I think at the end of it was either at the end of 2024 or early 2025 that had been stuck up there, and they was talking about how the bone density and the muscle loss from being in space for that period of time, years or whatever the case may be. It seems like in this case, Russia has created this. Or they're not created, but they're in the process of maybe creating it. But they got a patent on space station that creates artificial gravity, so that you walking around space or whatever, the space station in space, as if you were on Earth. So I don't know. I think that's interesting. Seems like other countries are working on something similar. The interesting thing about this whole space stuff that I kind of really don't understand, even as a patent attorney, is it's almost like being in international waters. Typically, patents, for those of you who don't know, you got to get it protected in a country that you want to enforce it in. So if you are selling something or you manufacturing it in the U.S., probably want to get a patent in the U.S. If you're doing that in China, you may have to get a patent in China. If you're doing it in Europe, you may want to get a patent in Europe. However, when you're getting something, a patent for a technology that you're going to use in space, I don't know how you how that is enforceable. It's not like you're going to stop a U.S. company or another country from using that thing in space. I understand if you're in the U.S. and we have like privatized kind of space. So you have Blue Origin, which I think is owned by Jeff Bezos. You have obviously SpaceX, which is owned by Elon Musk. You have NASA, which is a government entity. This Russia patent is owned by their government-owned entity, a government-owned, I guess, kind of space entity or whatever the case may be. So yeah, I'm not sure how you kind of enforce this stuff when you're kind of dealing with stuff in space. And again, a lot of comments under that video was going towards and it was getting more so in terms of the specifics of you can't patent anti-gravity and all that stuff, which is true here in the U.S. Who knows what Russia IP law is like, or patent law specifically, number one. And then I really don't think Vladimir Putin cares. He's going to do what he's going to do, and that's that. So definitely go check out that video, man. I think it was an interesting video. I think this is an actual picture of maybe a mock-up or what the space station would look like. I would imagine that Elon Musk, he's going to go into overdrive to try to maybe beat out Russia and Vladimir Putin on their artificial gravity space station, or he may be happy because this is a step closer towards kind of building a society or whatever the case may be in space. So yeah, man, let me know what you guys think in the comment section as we move on to the last one. And before we get to the last one, I do want to plug the ebook, man. Got IP. Go check that out. Again, man, 2026, everybody talking about it's going to be a great year, whether it's from a business standpoint, money, whatever the case may be. And I want you guys to, come up with some ideas, start those businesses, and more importantly, protect the IP. I got a product that I am in a process of purchasing, or a product company, and I'm purchasing all the IP. So I'm going through the agreements. I'm going through the, looking at the IP in detail. And man, you want to make sure that you are kind of have good IP, that you're protecting the IP, whether it's a copyright, whether it's a trademark, whether it's a trade secret, whether it's a patent. And yeah, man, go check out the ebook, Got IP. That link will be in the description of this video. So definitely go check out that. As we kind of go to the last, what's the name? Yeti Shaker. Gotta pull this up here. That like button for the YouTube algorithm, as well as hit that subscribe button to be a part of IP community. I think this is an interesting one, man. Like I said, it has not only patent or trademark implications or trademark infringement, but they actually sued the defendant for patent infringement as well. So they Yeti coolers, and they sued Auxiri for, as you can see here, number one, trademark infringement, number two, trade dress infringement, number three, patent infringement, and then number four, what's the name? So let's go through this really quickly. We're going to skip through more procedural stuff. Let's get to the general allegations. So Yeti has a wide variety of innovative products, including Yeti Shaker, bottled with Helimax technology. Yeti genre shaker bottle products have a unique, distinctive, and non-functional exterior design and an interior that is designed to mix powders to liquid smoothly and minimize clumps without the use of a whisk or a screen. Look, your boy haven't taken protein shake in a while, but it seems like back when I was playing football at Michigan State and taking the protein shakes, you did have these little kind of metal strainer balls that kind of mixed up the protein shake. So you didn't have those chunks or whatever the case may be. I'm not sure if that's still a thing. It seems like Yeti has came out with another way to avoid you having to have that ball. Let's see here. You see them down below. Looks like this is another Yeti shaker bottle, smaller one. It's 27 ounce. That's 20 ounce. So the shaker bottle products are protected by a trademark, patents, and other IP rights. Man, I wish I can pull up the patent. I'm not going to pull it up for time's sake, but it seems like they just recently got a patent on this a year or so ago. Then they also have a trademark on it. Yeti acquired and now owns the entire right, title, interest to, and goodwill associated with the trade dress of the 460 registration. It seems like they bought a company. That's what it looks like. It says Yeti acquired, now owns. Products bearing the trade dress 460 registrations have been exclusively or extensively and continuously promoted and used in the U.S., for example. December of 2017, millions of units of products bearing the trade dress of the 460 registration have been sold to hundreds of thousands of customers worldwide. What is the trade dress? So are they saying this is a trade dress? The bottle? Products bearing the trade dress registration. Okay, So I do want to kind of get you guys, because this is actually interesting. So why they have a utility patent? You saw that it was like 9 million or something. Seems like they also have some trademarks, and then they also have a trade dress. You may be asking, why not get a design patent as well as a design patent as well as a utility patent? Seems like they have the utility patent. I just filed actually, yeah, for this. It was a modification. We actually filed some patents on this, utility and design. You may be asking, why not get a design patent instead of a trade dress protection? And you really kind of want to get both if you can. Just because you get a design patent, that does not mean you can't get a trade dress protection. But to the extent that you get any protection from the ornamental aspect of something, because that's what design and trade dress is going towards, you really want to get a trade dress protection because that lasts forever. Now, it's a little tougher to get compared to a design patent, but a design patent only lasts 15 years, where trade dress, which again is a subset of trademarks last forever as long as you're using it, and design trade dress protection lasts forever as long as you're using it. So you kind of really want to get really both, but if you had to choose between one or the other, it's probably going to be tougher to get trade dress protection. But if you can kind of overcome that or get over the humps, you want to get that because it's going to last forever. In terms of you having a protection on kind of the ornamental look and feel of something. Just think of like the Coca-Cola bottle. Man, that bottle has been around for damn near 100 years, and they still have Coca-Cola still have trade dress protection on it, or still they have protection on it because they have trade dress protection. They would have got design patent protection on that. That would have expired a long time ago. Anybody could have used those bottles, but since they have trade dress protection on that Coca-Cola bottle, they can still have some rights and some measures to go to sue somebody for infringement if somebody uses that shape for their bottles. So I did want to kind of talk about that because that is important. That is extremely important. Let's go here to the general allegations. So defendant has purposely advertised, promoted, offered for sale, so forth and so on, some products that violate Yeti's rights, including the trade dress and pan rights. Defendant infringed products inside his shaker bottle sold under the name Oxir. Man, I don't know. That's a weird name. And when you're picking a name, I get it. The drug names have all these kind of weird names. Man, pick something that's going to be easier to pronounce. Oxirizy? I don't know. But this is the bottle. So it looks a little different. In my opinion, I think it seems like they definitely have going to be in trouble from a patent infringement standpoint, depending on what the claims say. But what do you guys think? Let's read more. Cost $40. So a nice bargain. It looks like they're selling it on Amazon. So around August of 2025, so a couple months ago, defendant began holding itself out and selling his shaker bottle and products under Sipter. I like Sipter a little better. Additionally, exemplary images of the infringing shaker bottle, associated products are listed below. So this is some stuff that they've been selling on Amazon as well as other seem like e-commerce platforms as of at least September. Yeah, man, that bottle design does look close in my opinion. The trade dress of Yeti's 460 registration was used extensively and continuously before the defendant began advertising and selling their bottle. The defendant has also directly infringed and continues to directly infringe one or more claims of the patent. So they hit him with patent infringement as well. Those are inside. You see the grooves there. I'm assuming those grooves help kind of mix the protein up so that you don't have those chunks or those clunks. They're selling this on Amazon. What they say, no mixing board or agitator needed. The design does all the work for a perfect blend. And I'm telling you, that's why you need to protect this IP stuff, because once something hits, people are going to try to copy you. What they say, this Yeti's, which it seems like they bought the company or acquired rights to, which to me means bought. It seems like they bought a company that was selling millions of these units to hundreds of thousands of people. So, hey, million units sold, over 1 million units sold, you better believe that somebody's going to start trying to get some money. So it seems like they have the multi-defect. So they have a flow channel in theirs. I wonder if Yeti has a flow channel. Outer wall, inner wall, double insulation. Some layer. As can be seen from the exemplary images above and below, the infringer shaker bottles are used without a mixing insert that compromise a base, a container body extending from the base with multiple interior sides separated by interior ridges. So those ridges seems like what's mixing it up. This is definitely a claim from the patent. I can read a patent claim all day. A brim portion defining the brim open and suitable for skin or removable cap, and a twist cap configured to attach to the brim. So this is patent stuff all day. As the defender repeatedly advertises on his website and packages, its infringer shaker bottles incorporate 8 precisely engineered curves with a double wall stainless steel bottle, creating multi-axial turbulence for optimal mixing. Defendant directly infringes further includes depositing at least a first ingredient and a second ingredient into a container and shaking it. So this is all patent stuff, easy. Defendant has also induced and continues to induce infringement, one or more claims of the 920, including the claim in violation. Only intentionally taking affirmative action to encourage and aid infringement by customers include. So induce infringement. Now I'll kind of say this. This gets really off into the patent side. When you say direct infringement, that means that, hey, they're directly infringing our patent. When you say inducing infringement, you're saying that, hey, they're essentially encouraging others to infringe our patent. So they may not be in. So it seems like it was a method claim, which is weird that you have a method claim, but whatever. Seems like one of their patents have a method claim for mixing, mixing a protein shake using a bottle. They're not obviously the defendant. They're not directly. They're not mixing their protein, but who's mixing the protein? The customers. So they're providing the instruction. They're providing a bottle for the customer to actually do the infringement, or in other words, mix their protein shake. So that's what they're saying when they're saying they're induced infringement. They're not directly infringing it by making a bottle, or the customers are not directly infringing by making a bottle, or whatever the case may be. However, they are doing it, but not Yeti, but the defendant is inducing infringement of the customers by giving them the bottle, giving them the instructions, and now the customers are actually the infringing party who's directly infringing it. So that's what they mean when they say induced infringement. Let's continue on here. The defendant has also induced and continues to induce infringement. I think we already went over that. Inducement upon information and belief. They're going hard on this on the patent. Defendant knew of the 920 patent and knew that its instructions and encouragement would cause its customers to infringe at least one of the claims. That's all you need, baby, one claim to infringe. For example, shaker bottles sold that practice. The 920 patent has been marked with the 920 patent. This is good. So they actually mark you. And again, this is good to mark the product with the patent number. So people know when they buy the bottle that, hey, we have a patent on this. Upon information and belief, defendant infringement of the 920 patent has been and continues to be intentional, willful, and malicious. For example, the defendant received actual notice of the 920 patent, yet these infringement allegations, yet despite that knowledge, defendant has continued to use it. So it seems like they sent a cease and desist letter. Okay. Defendant has also used and continues to use statements that are false and misleading with the intent of influencing potential customers to purchase the infringer shaker bottles. For example, defendant stated that the infringer shaker bottles use their own patented octo-blend technology. So they don't even got no patents. So that definitely false advertisement. If you're saying, hey, you got a patented technology and you don't have a patent, that's definitely false advertisement. That's what they're saying. That's crazy. Octo-blend technology, that is a breakthrough in blending engineering to make every sip smooth, are patented. Man, our business is a dirty game. So that's pretty much it, man. I think, to be honest with you, in my opinion, clearly it's no it's no trademark from a standpoint of the logos or the name being the same. It seems like the Yeti and kind of the name of their shaker bottle is completely different from the defendant. The trade dress, it's starting to get close. I don't know. I'm a little bit up in the air 50-50 on, again, they definitely have grooves. It seems like their grooves are kind of different, but they definitely have grooves. So I do think it's you can at least make the argument. But in my opinion, Yeti's strongest claim to this one is patent infringement. And I haven't read the patent, but just based on some of the language that they had in the complaint here, if that's what the issue patent is, it seems like this one is the defendant, they're kind of bottled with their grooves or ridges, they call them, is probably definitely infringing it. So I think the patent claim or the patent infringement claim is probably Yeti's most strongest, even though the trade dress can go either way, in my opinion. So that's all I have for you guys, man. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Please hit that like button for the YouTube algorithm. Hit that subscribe button to be a part of the IP community. Again, we have some big things in store for 2026. So definitely hit that like button as well as the subscribe button. Adding some additional segments. I'm in the process of buying a company. I'm launching another product. So all that stuff will be kind of unveiled in January. I'm also going to be a lot more active on my Patreon. So be on the lookout for that. Kind of those announcements. And what else do I have here that I want to talk about? Yeah, definitely go check out God IP, man. This is that year that's definitely going to change my life for the better, even though I live a pretty good life. However, God IP, start that business, come out with that product, protect the IP. That just God IP ebook will help you out with that. So definitely go check out that. And that link should be in the comment section. So again, hit that like button for the YouTube algorithm, hit that subscribe button. Hopefully you guys have a great rest of your 2025, and that those goals for 2026 are even better than what you set out for yourself in 2025. So hopefully you guys have a good one.